Welcome to the Raging Takes podcast with your hosts, Brian Dixon, Kai Zabo, and Dylan Peters.
What up, you turkeys? Welcome to episode 143 of the Raging Takes podcast. Today is Monday, January 27, 2025. I'm your host, Brian Dixon, joined as always by my co-host, Kai, the Commissioner Zabo. What's up, dude?
Salutations.
Salutations indeed. Congrats to the Eagles.
Thank you.
It pains me to say that, but they deserve it. Very good team. Just absolutely destroy the Commanders. We'll get to it. But I'm sure you're feeling pretty good right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah, I mean, back to the Super Bowl, unfortunately, against the Chiefs again. But we'll get to that.
You don't feel so good that you're wearing Eagles gear, though. You wear Eagles gear every day except for the day that they're going to the Super Bowl?
I'm confused by that line of questioning.
Okay.
Are you saying I'm supposed to wear Eagles clothes every day but the Super Bowl?
I noticed that you wear Eagles stuff a lot on the podcast, but not on the day after they went to the Super Bowl. I'm just calling you out for being a fake fan. Is that okay?
No, that's not okay.
I
I like to wash my jerseys like anyone else. Dry clean them.
Who washes their jerseys, dude?
Yeah,
I just sit my musk in that for years. All right, so on today's show, we're just going to go over the NFC Championship game, the AFC Championship, maybe talk like lightly about the Super Bowl matchup. We won't go in depth on that. That'll be next week. But let's start with the standings update and then the fantasy results from the draft that we had on Saturday. Standings update, there's not much to update, really. We all went 1-1. I got the Chiefs correct. You guys got the Eagles correct. It's the same situation it was before, but now there's only one game left, and I have one game lead on you guys. So really all I can do is either win outright or tie you guys. I haven't locked in my Super Bowl pick, but I'm just going to say I have a feeling we're going to have different teams that we're picking. I just have a little birdies telling me that I think that you're picking the team that I'm not picking. So we'll see how that goes next week. It might be interesting.
So you're picking the Eagles then, right?
Oh, you're picking the Chiefs?
Yeah, who knows?
I'm picking the Chiefs. I think it's not penciled in. Everything's on the table so far.
Yeah. All
right. And then as the fantasy results go, Dylan just kicked our ass, honestly. He won last week. Last week it was close between, I think, you and him?
Yes.
No, it was me and him because you had first pick this time. So you had last place this time. So I think it was relatively close between me and him last time, but he won outright. This time he just blew us out. He won 89.9 points. He had a player that got 0 points and he still beat us by 18 and 24 respectively. Noah Gray was his tight end who got 0 points, didn't even get a target, I think. He had De'Ami Brown as well, who only got 5.2, had a horrible fumble. But then he had Jalen Hurts, 32.6, James Cook, 30.4, and A.J. Brown, 21.6. So that big three right there powered him to the win. Second place was you, Kai. You had 71.9. Dylan had 89.9 too. I can't remember if I said that or not. Kai had 71.9. Josh Allen, 20.9. Saquon, 31.2. DeAndre Hopkins, 2.1. Keon Coleman, 2.2. Dallas Goedert, 15.5. And I came in last at 65.4. I had Jaden Daniels, 22.8. Kareem Hunt, 14. Terry McLaurin, 14.1. Khalil Shakur, 10.6. And Travis Kelce, who got a middling 3.9. Maybe playoff Kelce isn't a thing anymore. Maybe he is just getting old and washed. Retire, please. I'm sick of seeing you. I'm sick of seeing your face.
I know. It was kind of funny to see him like out there like bragging and just talking so much smack. And I'm like, dude, you're not even doing anything.
That's what he does every fucking year, brother. He goes up there, he sings like a Beastie Boys line or something, and then he goes back to his very famous girlfriend.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it right now. You, sir, are not as funny or as cool as Jason Kelce. Stop.
Or as handsome. Have you seen those eyebrows?
Absolutely. Yeah,
they're
Jason
bushy.
Kelce is very handsome. Eagles legend.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I don't wish ill will on the man. I just kind of hope he retires. But then again, if he retires, we're not going to escape him. He's going to be on TV constantly. So it's like we can't escape the Kelsey, and we're going to see Jason all the time too. So honestly, you know what? Keep playing, Travis. I don't care. It doesn't matter anymore. I've just talked myself out of it. Okay, so congrats to Dylan. Let's get to the games. First up, Eagles 55, Commanders 23. 55 points for the Eagles, the most points scored by one team in a conference championship game in NFL history. Doing it over the rival, I'm sure feels really good. In hindsight, though, the Commanders were kind of like a weaker opponent that the Eagles could have played. Like, obviously, we talked it up going in, but now in hindsight, we're like, okay, obviously the Commanders don't belong on the same field as the Eagles. The Lions kind of fuck shit up for football. Just football in general, I feel like, right? Like the Lions and Eagles would have been a way better game.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just how football kind of works. You know, it's like obviously the Commanders made the Lions look very silly, and then here are the Eagles making the Commanders look very silly. I wonder if the Eagles would have made the Lions very silly. We're not sure. I mean, that's just how football is. It's literally a scheme versus scheme game at the end of the day.
And I had been saying for weeks that I'm like, I kind of hope the NFC, like I was rooting for the Commanders too, but I was like kind of hoping for a Lions Eagles NFC championship game because I think that would have been like the game of the year. Just like, feels like just like two unstoppable forces going head to head, but then the Lions had to blow it, obviously. But Jalen Hurts, wonderful performance, honestly, from him. 20 of 28, 246 yards, 1 passing touchdown, 3 rushing touchdowns. Now has the NFL playoff record for rushing touchdowns with 9. He surpassed Steve Young's record, so
it's
for
10.
him.
It's 10, not 9.
Is it 10? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when he surpassed it, it was 9. He must have got another touchdown after I wrote that down. That's my bad. Saquon 15 for 118 and 3.
Jesus.
Just still doing what he's doing. I mean, he broke off that run on their first drive, and it was kind of like, okay, well, this is going to happen again, I guess, huh? Every week I'm like, well, maybe this team can slow down Saquon, and it just never happens. The Chiefs are the final boss. Like, even if the Eagles lose, like, let's see if Saquon goes off against them. That would be crazy. Will Shipley came in garbage time. He got 4 for 77 and a touchdown. Most of that was on one run, though.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it was garbage time. The Eagles had already pulled like all of their starters, or at least Saquon. Did Hurts finish the game? I think Hurts finished the game. I don't remember seeing McKee or Pickett out there.
Yeah.
AJ Brown 6 for 96 and a touchdown. The nerd finally got his nose out of a book to go play some football. Dallas Goedert 7 for 85. Devontae 4 for 45. And then for the Commanders, Jaden Daniels was 29 of 48, 255, touchdown, a pick, and a rushing touchdown. Brian Robinson 11 for 36. Eckler, Jeremy McNichols, and De'Ami Brown all lost fumbles. The Eckler one specifically
was bad.
Was the worst one, I think, in my opinion, because the Commanders kind of still had like a little bit of hope. They had some momentum. I think it was like directly after the rushing touchdown from Jaden Daniels, and I think the Eagles punted after they got the ball back, maybe. I don't think the Eagles did anything on the next drive. So it was like, okay, well, now the Commanders have a chance to cut it to like a 1-score game. And then Eckler's like a trusted veteran too. Like you might like expect that from a Jeremy McNichols or a De'Ami Brown who haven't been in a lot of big games, but Eckler has been in big games. Maybe not a lot, but he has been in playoff games before. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of disappointing coming from him. Zach Ertz had a great game against his former team, 11 for 104, and then Scary Terry 3 for 51 and a touchdown.
It was a nice touchdown.
It was a very nice touchdown. Honestly, I thought we'll get to the Eagles in a second. I thought Daniels played well, all things considered, because the Eagles were on his ass all day. I was watching some footage of the left tackle of Washington. I think his name is Brandon Coleman, I want to say. And he was just getting destroyed by who's the defensive end? I want to say his name is Keys. Is there a Keys on the Eagles D line?
I was thinking you were probably talking about Nolan Smith, because he was in particular.
Don't think it was Nolan Smith. It was somebody. I don't think it was Nolan Smith. I might be wrong though. This was way earlier this morning. I can't remember. But there's somebody that was just giving Coleman hell the entire game. And Daniels just didn't really have a whole lot of time to throw. And then when the Eagles were just in his face constantly, you'd see a little bit of erratic throws from him that we aren't accustomed to seeing. I definitely know Cosme definitely hurt them. I think even if Cosme played, though, I think it would probably have been along the same lines. The Eagles D-line is just so ferocious and that so good at getting to their target that this was just such a hard game for the Commanders to win, honestly. Go ahead. What did you see about the Eagles that you liked? What did you see about the Commanders? What did you notice?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you. Jaden Daniels played a fantastic game, in my opinion, all things considered. I mean, he pretty much did not have a run game whatsoever. I mean, that's just how good the Eagles D line was. Brian Robinson only had less than 3 yards a carry, or actually 3 yards a carry. Not very good. It's not going to win you the game against the Eagles, that's for sure. But yeah, all things considered, I think Jaden Daniels did pretty admirably. I think this is going to be some very good experience for him going forward because, yeah, that Eagles defense, man, just filled with so many killers. Zach Bond, man, that guy was so active in this game, too.
I mean, Zach Bond, he's been incredible, not only this season, but also the postseason. In the 3 games the Eagles have played in the playoffs, 26 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, a forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, an interception, and 2 passes deflected. I mean, just a complete game changer on that defense. They found him out of nowhere. Like, I hate to give the Eagles all this credit, but like Howie Roseman is probably the best GM in the league. Like, he just finds ways to like just retool this team, and it's just like they don't ever get worse. It feels like they might have like a down year, but they don't ever get less talented. It's crazy. It's just constant additions, and even like people you don't think are going to be that big of additions turn out to be amazing additions, like Zach Bond. So like, and then you draft like Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, and like you were saying all offseason last year that the secondary needed so much work. They go out and they use like 2 of their top picks on secondary, and they're immediately really good. Like that doesn't happen to every single team. Like it's you should feel very lucky.
It's about goddamn time because I'll still never live down passing on Justin Jefferson. So I'm glad we're making some good drafts.
Was that Roseman that did that, or was
yes. Yep.
Okay, and, he's not perfect.
I know. I understand. Yeah. Oh man, but yeah. Turnovers though. This game really came down to turnovers. Like I really feel like Washington, they were pretty good at driving the ball down the field. Would you agree?
Yeah. They just made mistakes.
Just back-breaking turnovers. Those fumbles, all bad, especially the Eckler one. But, man, I think this Eagles team, they're ready for what comes next. I mean, Jalen Hurts has really taken on this game manager role so well, in my opinion. He's not he's still doing a lot just in terms of impact, but he's not really being asked to do a lot at the same time.
Well, now Washington has, let's see the number here. They have the 3rd most cap space in the league heading into the offseason, $93 million. So they have a chance to go out and actually build a really solid foundation around Jaden Daniels. They got to do stuff that they have to do, new commander stuff. They can't be doing the stuff the Redskins used to do where they would just throw money at the wrong guys and then it just wouldn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
I think they actually have like good leadership in that front office finally for the first time in decades. And I think that they'll probably do a pretty solid job filling some holes on the team that need to be filled. We'll see how they do in the draft, but I think free agency specifically, I think they're going to be big time players. I fully expect them to make a run at T. Higgins. I fully expect that, which would be disgusting. T and Terry together. We've talked about it before. I think that would be such a great. I think in my head, the 2 most ideal spots just for a football standpoint for Higgins would be the Chargers and the Commanders. I think those are the 2 that just make the most sense to me. The 2 that have not the big, I don't think the Commanders' biggest need is wide receiver, but that having Higgins on the other side of Terry just opens up that offense so much more. I think that would make so much sense, and they have the money to pay him, and I think he'd be worth it. So I fully expect them to make a run at him.
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure. I like that. I like the fit a lot. I mean, yeah, it says a lot, though. I mean, I'm going to be worrying about Washington for years to come now. I mean, Jaden Daniels has proved that he belongs in this league, and you are right. I mean, they're just probably another year away from just being even more dominant this year. I mean, how can he even be more dominant than the season that they had? They would have to win the Super Bowl, right?
Well, I think honestly, it feels like, at least to me, if now beating the number 1 seed on the road isn't luck, but it does feel like they kind of like stumbled backwards into the NFC Championship game where, like I said, they get on the field with the Eagles and it's very apparent they don't belong on the same field as that team. So I don't know. I think winning the NFC Championship game should be their goal next year at the very least, if not the whole thing. But do I expect them to be back in the NFC Championship game? Not completely. would they even win their division? Probably not. Obviously, with the Eagles there, the Cowboys might be better. Who knows?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, it's
if
like
the Giants draft a quarterback, and let's say they get the next Jaden Daniels and like Cam Ward or Shadir Sanders, they have a great rookie of the year season. All of a sudden, the Giants are back into play. So I don't know. The NFC is going to be tough. I know Dylan likes their defense for some reason. I've been of the opinion that they're not that good. Honestly, they've been middling at best. They added Marshawn Lattimore at the trade deadline. He's been completely awful.
And he's been injured.
I think they need to do a lot to that defense. And then I think that they need, like, even if you don't get T. Higgins, I think you need to add at least another playmaker to the offense too. I think there's a lot of holes in that team that if they ran this exact same group back, I don't think they would make the NFC Championship game again next year, personally. But I do think they'll have a good offseason, and we'll see what they sit like in August.
Yeah. I think I can almost agree with you. I mean, I think the Commanders, they might have lucked themselves into the NFC Championship. Yeah, I agree with you. If they ran this exact same team back next season, wouldn't work. Yeah, but the salary cap situation is great. So, the future looks bright for them. But, man, that division is going to be so interesting, though, next year. I mean, like, realistically, what do you think their ceiling is, like, win-wise?
Next season, Commanders?
Yeah.
I mean, the ceiling is endless. Like, depending on what they do in the offseason, because if they add a lot of good pieces, like, they could easily be like a 13-4 team or something like that, be where the Eagles and Lions were this year, and the Vikings. So I honestly think their ceiling would be a Super Bowl win. That's just the highest possible thing that they could do, but I think that their floor is missing the playoffs still. I do think that there's a chance. Like, sometimes rookie quarterbacks have amazing seasons and then they're not quite as good the following season. CJ Stroud, for example. So
yeah,
you never know. Jaden Daniels seems like the type of guy that is actually going to be a legit great starting quarterback. It's just the way that he just handles shit. But then let's say Cliff Kingsbury leaves and there's a different offense there. Does he run that offense differently? Is it not as efficient? I don't know. Maybe Cliff Kingsbury has a worse season next season, kind of like what Bobby Slowick did in Houston, where he got fired. He was like a top head coaching candidate last year. He stayed with Houston. He got fired this year. So, like, you never know. Things can change so, like, crazy fast in the NFL. It's hard to, I think the window for the Commanders win-wise is just so huge. They could either be a number one seed in the NFC, or they could miss the playoffs by like 3 games. I don't know. It's going to depend on how their offseason shapes out. What do you think?
No, I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, I just think with Dan Quinn at the helm too, they really have a chance. I really do like Dan Quinn as a head coach, man. Too. I mean, man, dude, I really felt like we were playing against Dan Campbell for a second in that game. The calls that they were going for on fourth, like that first drive, that I believe it was like a 7-minute drive, the first one out the gate. They went for it on fourth like twice, I believe, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, it was crazy.
And then the third time they elected to go for the field goal because they got
so
deeper in the Phillies. Well, they're literally the best fourth down team in NFL history this year. It was like 87% or something crazy like that. So, like, Dan Campbell has the stereotype of being like ultra aggressive, and I think the Commanders do it in a smarter way, which is why they don't get as much attention thrown out. Like, Dan Campbell is going to do it just no matter what. Where the Commanders are like, oh, we'll do it. I think I have confidence that we can do this. It's 4th and 5. Yeah, fuck it, we'll go for it. And just, they're just so efficient. Like, Jaden Daniels just knows exactly where he's going, no matter what.
And he just knows that if the play works out, he can break the pocket and just pick up the first down real quick too. Yeah, there's just endless ways to attack with that offense. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how they look in the future, though, for sure. Even as a division rival, I will say that. But one last thing too, I think we would be remiss not to talk about the Frankie Louvu thing.
Good point bringing that up.
Yeah, because dude, I remember I was watching it at the bar. I met up with my mother, and everyone was just dying laughing when that kept happening. I was like, dude, this guy did it twice, and then the refs were like, "We're gonna just give him the touchdown if you're gonna keep doing that."
By the way, the most offended I think I've ever been watching football when he said that.
I have to agree. Yeah, that's pretty.
It is a rule. I've seen it. Maybe they fixed it last night or something, but I did see it in the actual NFL rule book that the NFL referees can award touchdowns if they deem it fit to. Is that a correct sentence? I don't think so. Yeah. Deem it so. I don't know. But I'm just like, the fact that he was like, this is like the most unstoppable fucking play in this sport. So you're basically saying, like, he's trying to time the snap. He's just very bad at it. So he was trying to time the snap so he could hop over and tackle Hurts.
The second...
He's just bad at it. And it's like, so you're telling him that he can't time the snap, which is something football players do all the fucking time. It's just like, you can't try this tactic at stopping this unstoppable play, or otherwise we're going to let them score a touchdown. So let the Eagles score a touchdown right this instant, or otherwise we're giving them a touchdown. That's basically what he said. I was so fucking offended by that shit.
Yeah, the second time was like the most hilarious because like he kind of like face planted on the landing. It was hilarious.
I like Frankie Louvu.
No, I mean I have to admire his tenacity there for sure. I mean, I was like my mother couldn't understand it. She's like, why does he keep doing it? I'm like, it's the most unstoppable play in football. It's like everyone knows what's happening and they're just trying whatever way they can to stop it.
I like the image of him too after he did it the first time, and he had so much eye black on his face. It was just like all the way down his face, and then he's just sitting there like looking at the camera like with his tongue out, like fuck. He got me.
He looked a little scary. He looked like like an island savage.
One last thing. Marshawn Lattimore. So this, I think I saw this tweet. This is from, I'm going to butcher this person's name. I really apologize. Nikki Jabavala, who I believe writes for Washington, I want to say. Yeah, a reporter for the Washington Post. They said in 5 games, this was about halftime of the NFC Championship game, so it may have been even worse after this, but in 5 games with Washington, Lattimore has totaled 6 penalties for a loss of 96 yards, which helped set up 20 points for his opponents. And he was just going at it constantly with A.J. Brown. It's just like, dude, you've played like 3 games this season, I guess 5. Like, you haven't been good. They traded a bunch for you. You're down in the NFC Championship game, and you're starting fights with the other receiver. What do you think this is, week 8 in Tampa right now? Like, fucking keep your cool, dude. Like, yeah. I don't get that. And I think corners think that it's like a strategy to get in wide receivers' heads. It's like, AJ Brown is winning right now. Like, you're not going to get into his head. He's just going to push you aside and just like chill the fuck out. And also AJ Brown, like, basically like got hands in the face on him too. He didn't get flagged. It was only Lattimore that got flagged. I thought they both should have got flagged personally. I don't know if that's just my Washington side coming out of me, but kind of thought they both should have been in trouble there. Felt like the refs were helping the Eagles out a little bit, especially after Hockey said that he's going to award them a score if you keep trying to play defense.
Yeah, it seems to be the theme with both of the games we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. Also, one last thing, Hockey too. Like, if you don't remember his dad was such like to the textbook like ref. Like, I'm like, of course, a Hockey is making this threat to the Commanders that he's going to award them a score. I was like, good God, that made me fucking sick to my stomach. Anyway. All right. Should be mentioned too that Cooper DeJean and Saquon Barkley both have birthdays on Super Bowl Sunday. Keep that in mind. Birthday boost for Saquon. Saquon specifically. It's a good possible birthday boost.
Good omen.
Good omen. For some of us. Okay.
You can't possibly be rooting for the Chiefs.
I'm not rooting for either of them, brother. I want to see the Chiefs lose, but I don't want the Eagles to be the ones to do it. So I'm just going to sit back, enjoy some football, and hope it's a really fun game. That's all I'm going to hope for.
Look at you. Look how far you've fallen.
Well, it's like, am I going to root for the Redskins enemy that I've hated for like 15 years, or am I going to root for the Raiders enemy who I don't hate as much as the Eagles? I'm going to be honest with you, but I'm very sick of them. And also, I would just feel like a bad Raiders fan if I rooted for the Chiefs. I rooted for the Chiefs a few years ago when they played the Eagles the first time, but that was when the Chiefs were not as hateable as they are nowadays before the Bundle Rooski.
Oh, Lord.
Worst commercial that ever been put on TV. Chiefs 32, Bills 29. Mahomes 18 of 26, 245, 1 touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns. Kareem Hunt 17 for 64 and a touchdown. I guess Pacheco just isn't a thing.
Nope.
Anymore. I think he got a couple of touches in this game, but nothing crazy.
He didn't look good at all, honestly. I think the injury might have been a little worse.
Just lingering a little too long. Yeah.
Who knows? It happens to the best of them, unfortunately.
I would be a little concerned. This is off topic a little bit. I'd be a little concerned about picking him in fantasy next year as it stands right now.
Yeah.
I think he's going to go a little too high for my blood.
I mean, even just drafting anyone from the Chiefs offense next year might be a little risky.
it doesn't make any sense to like they should be an amazing offense. So I don't know. I still think I might draft some Chiefs next year just to see if maybe they swing back around.
Worthy is probably the only one, and obviously Kelsey, depending on what happens with him.
So I had this thought actually yesterday while I was watching the Chiefs game, and I was kind of thinking the same thing. It's like why isn't Mahomes throwing for like 50 touchdowns anymore? And I'm like, I assume it's just because of Andy Reid. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's just that Andy Reid like makes him just be like a game manager, which is the smart thing to do because he can be the superstar quarterback and he can game manage at a very high level. So if you just go game manage this, the defense is going to hold the other team to however many points, you just get more points. And he's really good at that. So if Andy Reid retires, let's say 5, 6, 7 years from now, they get a different head coach in there who's more of like a high flying offense. Do the Chiefs go back to being like that original Chiefs that we saw where Mahomes is throwing like 50, 55 touchdowns? I feel like.
I mean, the argument there usually is Tyreek Hill was a huge part of that.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, he gave something to that offense that they seemingly haven't been able to replace in all these years since he's left that team.
Well, having Rashee Rice healthy and also having Xavier Worthy back for another season where you assume that he'll get better next year because he is starting to piece it together here later parts of the season. I think Worthy and Mahomes just haven't quite gotten the chemistry down. I think it's more on Worthy than Mahomes.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same with Allen and Keon Coleman. But
we also have to remember that rookies usually do come on slower in the Andy Reid offense too. So
speaking of Worthy, 6 for 85 and a touchdown for him. Having a nice playoff. The kid is. Juju's 2 for 60. Kelsey was 2 for 19. Josh Allen, 22 to 34, 237 and 2. James Cook was 13 for 85, 2 touchdowns. The one on 4th and goal was awesome where he was like reaching over. That was an awesome play. 3 catches for 49 yards for him as well. Mac Hollins, 3 for 73 and a touchdown. Had just like, honestly, 2 or 3 really big plays in this game. Like he kind of just out of nowhere too. He was wearing like a very goofy animal from the Muppets mask. Before the game, did you see that?
I did not. No.
Do you know how he does his little barefoot walk into the locker room, where he's like, he does that every week, where he's walking barefoot into the stadium. He also had his like shirt open this time, and he had an animal mask on. It's like, okay, this guy's a goofball. I love him though. Khalil Shakur 6 for 46. Curtis Samuel had a 4-yard touchdown, also a very nice touchdown. Chiefs have now won 8 straight playoff games, which is the 3rd longest streak in NFL history. I believe the Patriots have the most with 10, and I think the old school Packers, like in the 60s, have 9. So they would tie the Packers.
Good company.
If they win the Super Bowl. Yeah. They are the first back-to-back defending champion to make the Super Bowl in a 3rd straight season. So I guess we'll start with the Bills. I feel like today is just like a day of mourning. We're mourning Josh Allen and the Bills. They're never going to have another chance ever again. It's hopeless. Mahomes will win every Super Bowl for the next 15, 16 seasons and then retire happy as a god. And then his son will come in, if he has a son, and start winning more Super Bowls, and we'll never get out of the Mahomes side. I don't think that's true. I think the Bills are going to be perfectly fine.
Well, I was going to even add to that. I was like, what if Mahomes and Josh Allen's son meets and it's the same thing?
Oh my God.
Just generational beatdown.
Oh, no, I didn't think about that one.
Oh, God, imagine.
The way I look at it is, to me, Tom Brady's still the best quarterback to ever play. I'm not saying Mahomes will never get there because he could, but he still has a ways to go in my eyes personally. Brady didn't win every single year. In fact, he went like 10 years without winning one at one point. I think the same thing's going to dude, winning the Super Bowl is hard, especially doing it year after year. Eventually, this is going to wear down on them. Kelsey's going to be gone eventually. Chris Jones might be gone eventually. They're both getting up there. Like, Mahomes is still going to be around for a while, but is Andy Reid going to retire anytime soon? Like, there are question marks in the near future for the Chiefs that are going to make them a different team. And also, you never know, injuries could happen. You remember the time, like, I'm not wishing this on Mahomes, but Tom Brady, after the undefeated season, they lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl, and I'm thinking, okay, they're just going to go undefeated again this year and go to the Super Bowl. He tears his ACL in week 1, out for the season. It's a different thing. Like, shit happens in the NFL. I don't think Bills fans should get down about this. Like, obviously, get down the normal amount, like as if your team had just lost an AFC championship game, for sure. But don't get so, like, like just depressed just because it's the same opponent every time, because eventually it might not be, or eventually it might be in Buffalo, or eventually the Chiefs might not be as good and Mahomes is just carrying them on his back. Like there are so many different scenarios that can change in sports. I think the Bills can still win a Super. In fact, I'm going to personally guarantee Josh Allen wins a Super Bowl before he retires. I'm going to guarantee it right now.
I mean, that may be all well and dandy, but I mean, I could understand where Bills fans are coming from. Like, I'm sure that whole big brother, little brother dynamic gets old after a while. You know, it's like you guys know you're good enough, but you just can't get past that one hill in Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's just, I heard this quote recently and it kind of stuck true to me. I was like, there's some weird magic to the Chiefs. They just play clutch football when they need to better than anyone else in the league. Like the quote that I heard was, everyone is better than Patrick Mahomes until it is time to be better than Patrick Mahomes.
The thing is, I don't think anyone's better than Patrick Mahomes, even when it's not time. Like he is the best quarterback in the league, like for sure. But like Brady was too, and Brady didn't win every Super. Sometimes he wouldn't get to the Super Bowl. He would lose in the wild card round. The Patriots were awesome too. The Patriots were better than the Chiefs are, honestly. I think some of their Patriots teams.
What I mean by that quote is like, you know, let's look at the seasons outright as a whole. Let's look at Josh Allen's season and Patrick Mahomes' season. Statistically, who had the better season? Josh Allen, of course, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good of a season you had. It doesn't matter all of the accolades, what you've done. But when it is time to be better than Patrick Mahomes, a lot of people can't do it. And that is what it is.
I understand what you're saying. I just think that it's gonna happen eventually. He's not gonna win 15 straight Super Bowls and retire. Like it's not gonna happen. Yeah. So like eventually the Bills are gonna win. Maybe the Eagles win this year.
Sure. I mean, there's so
very
much
possible. To be honest with you, this is probably the best team that Mahomes is going to have to play in the Super Bowl so far. Like he lost to the Bucks one time. That Bucks team was pretty solid, but this Eagles team is very fucking talented, top to front. Like they have two of the best receivers in the league. They have the best running back in the league. They have a great quarterback. They have the best offensive line in the league. Like this team is a better team than the Chiefs. It is. So maybe they beat them. And maybe next year, maybe the Bills beat them, or maybe the Bengals beat them, and then the Bills don't even have to worry about the Chiefs. They have to worry about the Bengals instead. Like, I don't think the Bills fans should be that down about this.
Well,
just the normal amount of down. Just don't feel so hopeless that you're like giving up on sports.
No, I mean, I can agree with that because no matter what, you should never feel hopeless while you have Josh Allen. I think that's
dude.
Yeah, I mean that on top of it though too. What was I going to say? I mean, I was going to say I think I can understand their pain this time around though, because I think now's a good time to talk about the controversial calls.
I mean, yeah, so there was the fourth down one where it looked like Josh Allen may have gotten the tip of the football over the line. I think that's the big one. Is there another big one that you're thinking of? Because that was the one that I'm like, okay, well, that was kind of bullshit. But at the same time, it was I mean, it was hard to see, honestly. And like one ref had it a first down, the other ref had it as a fourth down, or the fourth and inches, or was a turnover on down. Well, that was fourth down, huh? So one had a turnover on downs, one had it as a first down. I thought it was a first down. Jim Nance, Tony Romo, and Gene Steratore all said that they thought it was a first down. But I heard John Gruden say, if you can't get that extra yard in that situation, if you get stuffed at the line and you're arguing about a tip of a football, you don't deserve to win. You didn't deserve to win. The Chiefs just got you. And I agree with that. So that is a controversial call, and it sucks because it's the Chiefs, obviously, and that's the stereotype. They get all the calls. But it's like, if you can't get that extra yard, the Chiefs did a good job of defending that play, I thought. They really stuffed Josh Allen. It's just that Josh is so strong that he was still able to stay at the line of scrimmage, and maybe he got the ball over, but maybe he didn't. I don't know.
Yeah. Too close to call, I guess.
I talk about Dalton Kincaid too.
Oof, yeah, stinks.
Honestly, I'm shocked Allen even got that off. Like that was like, and they, you know what? Like Romo and Nance were talking about it right before too. They're like, Spagnuolo's going to draw up a blitz right here. Like whatever Allen sees, Spagnuolo's going to throw something different at him right now. And immediately you could tell Josh was like, oh shit, here comes the blitz from this side. I thought it was going to come a different way. He just fires it up. Honestly, in not even a second and a half, he had two Chiefs in his face, He's like throwing off his back foot. He gets drilled and he finds like the perfect soft spot in the zone
I know, it
where
was
Dalton
crazy.
Kincaid can make a play and Kincaid just bluffs it. Now, granted, it's not the easiest ball to catch, but in that moment,
You have
and
to.
being that open too, like you gotta make that play, man. Like that was a big time playoff catch that you could have made, and he just didn't. And he's getting piled on now, and I think it's mainly because he's been a very disappointing player so far in his career. He just hasn't had like that pop yet as a young tight end. Not saying he can't down the line, but he just hasn't really been that impressive so far. And I think fans of the Bills, football in general, and I'm sure some fantasy players are all just be like, this guy, immediately I texted the group chat, like, this guy stinks, dude. It was like in the moment, I was just upset about it because I wanted them to beat the Chiefs. But like now I'm like, oh, he just made a mistake or whatever. But that was a tough play, man. That's going to be, if anything is going to get haunted by the Bills, like Bills fans think back and get haunted by anything, I think that's the only play where you can go, I cannot fucking believe he didn't make that catch.
Yeah, because who knows how much that changes the dynamic of the game. I mean, it's almost as bad as it is as bad as the Mark Andrews dropping the 2-point conversion last week.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Honestly, it's different apples and oranges, different scenarios, but it is the same thing.
Yeah, it's just tough for the Bills, man. I really do feel for them. I mean, I really thought that this was their year. I thought this was their best chance, and it's just so tragic. I mean, I thought a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl would have been incredibly fun, but here it is, Chiefs and Eagles Super Bowl yet again.
I mean, to be honest with you, the Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl was amazing.
It was, yeah, and it was a really good game. I'm expecting another good game this time around too.
Honestly, the only Super Bowl that the Chiefs have been in that wasn't good was the one they lost in, where Tampa just destroyed them.
Yeah, I think that was like a real low-scoring defensive one, right?
No, I think the Bucks scored a decent amount. I think they won by like 20 points. I'm like, let me look it up. Bucks, Chiefs, Super Bowl score 31-9. Tampa Bay won.
Yeah, so it's just stomping.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that's Brady, dude. Mahomes has never beat Brady in the playoffs, never will either.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's just crazy though, too. I mean, like even when you showed me that stat though, too, like I believe like the difference between these two teams is like 4 points, and like even down to the yardage too is like a crazy number.
In 9 games, the Chiefs have outscored the Bills 245-240 with Allen and Mahomes at the helm.
Yeah, I mean, this just shows you, like, it's like what I was saying earlier. The Chiefs are just good at playing clutch football. Like, it doesn't matter if, like, how even the game is. They're just going to get the one that wins them the game.
To me, though, looking at that, I feel like, obviously, our Bills fan friend, I feel like he's just like, he'd be deflated by that. But to me, that just means, like, you can beat them. Like, you're this close. It just hasn't gone your way.
Every time, in fact.
Like, if you're that close every single time, you can beat them. Like, teams have beat them before. Brady's beaten them twice, and Burrow's beaten them once. Like, Josh Allen is, I mean, he's not Tom Brady, but I mean, I think he's slightly better than Burrow. Slightly. I like Joe Burrow a lot too, but it's like he's on the same level as Burrow. Like, the Bills can beat the Chiefs. And like, let's say the next time it's in Buffalo, that would be huge. If that game wasn't in Kansas City, that might go a completely different way. And you can say, well, the Bills shouldn't have let the Chiefs get the 1 seed, but they didn't. I mean, obviously the Bills probably could have won a couple of games that they lost, but like the Bills did their job. They beat the Chiefs. They were the only team that fairly beat the Chiefs. The Broncos did too, but that was the Carson Wentz game. So it's like, you did your job. You played Kansas City. You beat them. You help get your number 1 seed, and you just couldn't do it because the Chiefs just kept winning all the other games. So I think just don't give up hope. If you're a Bills fan, I think they can do it. I think they can do it. I'm telling you, I guarantee Josh Allen wins the Super Bowl. I'm guaranteeing that right now. That's not a turkey, is it? That's a raging take.
I'll give you one.
Guarantee Josh Allen wins the Super Bowl. A couple other stats here before we get going here. So Nick Wright posted this on Twitter. So Patrick Mahomes dislocated his kneecap on a quarterback sneak in 2019. 5 years since, the Chiefs have only called 3 designed runs for Patrick Mahomes. 4th and 2 while trailing in overtime of the Super Bowl. 4th and 1 last night. And then the touchdown last night. So they never dial up Mahomes runs. And that touchdown was great. Like, he had it was like a 16-yard scamper or whatever like that. Like, you never see Mahomes doing that. I just maybe they're unlocking like a new play for him now too. They're going to start running with him too.
I mean,
he can run. He's not Michael Vick, but he can definitely run.
Yeah, he's always just been that smart runner. Like he's just going to run just to get the first down, and it just works.
In this game, 59% of the Chiefs' pass attempts went for a first down. 99th percentile performance. That's from Hayden Winks of Underdog.
Yeah,
that's Mahomes for you right there. He's now second in postseason wins all time. He beat Joe Montana.
Jeez.
But he has 17, which is a crazy amount. But he's still 18 behind Tom Brady. He's not even halfway to Brady, dude. He's second place, not even halfway to Brady. Hilarious. Teams. This is from Dante Koplowitz Fleming on Twitter. Teams with 4+ touchdowns and 0 turnovers are 21-2 in the playoffs since 2020. The 2 losses, Bills at Chiefs yesterday, and the 2021 divisional round, Bills Chiefs.
Wow.
The only 2 times since 2020 lost it. That's what I'm saying, though. You're playing so good. It's right there.
I know, but brother, that is a tough stat line for a franchise that already considers itself cursed.
But that's not their fault. Yeah, like
it's not their fault. Yeah,
it's not their fault. They're playing really well. It's just the Chiefs are just a little bit better. It's not going to be like that forever.
Yeah.
And then one last one here. Patrick Mahomes went down 1 to 8 points in the fourth quarter or overtime of a playoff game. Ready for this stat? 40 for 56, 552 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 1 touchdown run, 132.2 quarterback rating, and they scored on 13 of 14 drives.
It's like he flips a switch and it's like he's like Terminator all of a sudden.
He's like a robot that they invented in a lab to win playoff games, basically. Yeah. Like
just flip that switch.
You can go out there, throw 19 touchdowns a season. It's okay as long as you win the game, and then just go out there and win a Super Bowl. He's like, yes, I will. Yes, I will. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about here?
Oh, man.
Either game?
Go Eagles.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna get going here.
I don't know. You got it. You got something?
No. Go nobody.
Oh yeah.
I just want them all to have fun, and I want to have a fun. I hope Saquon just runs all over the Chiefs, and then I hope Mahomes just destroys the Eagles. And then just whatever dam's gonna break, let it break that way. I just want to see a lot of good football. I want to see a high scoring game, and I want to see like it coming down to the last possession. That's all I want from the Super Bowl. Just a nice, good game. All right. That's it for us. Did you, I guess we're a peek behind the curtain here. Did you keep your predictions that we did from the beginning of the season? Do you have that somewhere, like in a Google Drive or somewhere? Because I was figuring that maybe we could like review that on Saturday, our predictions that we had. I have all mine.
Maybe in a notebook, but...
Try to find it. If you can't find it, then it just is what it is. Maybe we can just look at mine just briefly or something like that. I don't know if Dylan has his either, but if all 3 of us have ours, we should go over and just see what we got right, what we got wrong, how dumb we look, how smart we look.
Could always look through.
Be fun.
Could always look through the endless archives of the Raging Takes podcast library.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. The library. Okay, as always, you can find us at Raging Takes, YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. You can email us ragingtakes@gmail.com. I'm at Montana Sauce on Twitter. Kai is at RTP Kai, and Dylan is such a wise fool. We'll see you on Saturday.